What's up, tubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, coming at you tonight to talk to you about October fishing. You guys gave me a lot of good feedback, a lot of good comments, things like that on the September video on where to fish in September. So I want to kind of build on top of that and talk to you guys about where we need to be fishing in October here in North Texas. Let's go. Fall is in the air. This weekend, it was super hot here in North Texas, but if you've been looking at the weather, it's getting ready to change drastically, and the highs for this weekend are coming up as only like 80s, low 80s. We've been coming out of the hundreds. This weekend, it was in the high 90s. It's been really, really hot, but one thing that's been going on, and you heard me talk about it in September, is the water temperatures are falling, and the reason for that is because our lows at night continue to dip. And if you look at what they're going to be in the next couple of weeks, they're actually going to be down into the 60s. That is going to really draw that water temperature down, and that is going to get those fish very, very, very active. It is a good time to go out and fish. So this weekend, went out to my home lake, went out to Ray Hubbard, did some fishing there, and really just stuck to kind of what I call my kind of beginning of fall pattern. And I'm gonna keep it really, really simple with you guys. It's not gonna be something really crazy or mind-blowing or anything like that, but I'm telling you that if you stick with these patterns and these lures, it's really gonna help you at least get on some fish. I'm not gonna be able to guarantee you giant fish. Giant fish are a lot harder to find in the fall. You've really gotta just keep moving and moving and moving and moving until finally you get to a group of bigger fish that you can find, but they're a little bit tougher in the fall. I think it's easier to find the bigger fish in the spring and even kind of going into the summer. Until you get into late summer, I still think it's a lot easier to find them. But once they all kind of migrate up to this shallower water, because remember what we were talking about last time about the thermocline, your lakes probably have a thermocline in them. Hubbard's got a thermocline in it right around 25 feet or so. So anything below 25 feet is out, and that's gonna push everything, the bait fish and the fish above that thermocline. It's also going to, as the water temperatures cool, it's gonna bring those fish closer towards the shoreline. That's where the bait fish are gonna go, and that's where the fish are gonna follow. And then as we get deeper into the fall, they're gonna start migrating back into those coves and pockets and things like that and really trapping all of that bait fish. But all of that stuff is gonna happen like pretty fast. So get ready, pay attention to what's going on in your waters, and I'm telling you, you can stay on them. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some successful patterns that are going to work for you here in North Texas. So first off, last video when we talked about September fishing, I know I keep referring back to that, but I'll put a link up there so you guys can watch it for those of you guys that missed it. But I talked to you about finding the flats, right? Find the flats. Flats are going to be, when you look on the contour line, they're going to be just a big area. It looks just like a big circle. There's not a bunch of little bitty lines in between it. And that means it's a really flat area. You're going to find main lake flats. So what I mean by main lake is just look at your lake and just look at the big body of water that it has, and any flats that are out that are touching that body of water, that's going to be a main lake flat. So what I said last time was look for main lake flats and also look for docks on main lake flats. If you can find the docks that are on the main lake flats, those are the docks that you want to be fishing. Now, as we get into October, still going to be very, very similar. You're still going to go up there. You're still going to keep that square bill tied on. You're still going to fish really, really shallow. You're still going to look for flats on the main lake to fish, and you're also going to look for those docks to fish. But one thing that I want you to add in here as you get further into the fall, which hasn't really happened here yet, at least I don't see it out on Hubbard yet, but I know that it's coming, and that's going to be these fish are really going to start relating to the main lake points. They're going to be chasing a ton of bait, and you're going to have a topwater fiesta at any given time. It could happen within the next couple of weeks, but they're going to start really, really, really going heavy on the topwaters. So we've got the topwaters on the points, right? And you could also do the square bills on the points. If the point has a nice big long flat, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for points that are out there with really, really, really long flat tops. So I'll try to show you some examples here of what I'm talking about. We got a couple here to take a look at. One would be out on Fork. This is just a really long point. And then we've got another one where out on Richland Chambers, this is one of my favorite areas to fish in the fall. You've got these 3 points down here on the southeastern side of the lake, southwestern side of the lake, that really, really load up with fish, not only with bass, but also for really big hybrids. So we've got the points. So we want to look at the long extended points that come out into the main lake. That's going to be a really big fall pattern. Fall basically giveaway. Those fish are going to be out there on those long extended points. That's just what they do. They'll be there. The other fish, because not all fish go to the same exact place. Your other areas, your shallow flats with the docks, those are going to be good. And then the other really, really key area, especially if you're like me and you live on Ray Hubbard, which Hubbard's just like a bowl. We don't really have that many points. The points we have pretty much suck. We don't have hardly any coves. We've only got a couple of them. So we don't really have a lot of those structure features that most bigger lakes would have. But what we do have is we have a ton of man-made cover. Man-made cover, and really what I'm looking for there is I'm looking for the riprap. And that, my friend, we have a ton of. Being a city lake, we have a ton of riprap. And guess what riprap does? It attracts the bass. So all you have to do is go out and find the riprap. You will find the bass. I'm telling you, it's that simple. It's not go out and find the flats and go out and do all this crazy stuff. It's basically find the riprap. You'll find the bass. Now, try to fine tune that a little bit more. So if you can find some riprap that is, say, under a bridge, that's obviously a great place to go fish. If you can find under that bridge, if there's a creek channel, so maybe you go under the bridge, there's a creek channel on the left side, but not on the right side, stick to the left side. Stay closer towards, stay as close as you can towards that creek channel, as close to the bank as well. So basically, just figure out which bank line is closest to that creek channel, and that's the one that you're gonna wanna fish underneath those bridges. And then also, you're gonna look for that riprap that goes along and then hits up on top of a flat, right? So we do have some of those areas in Hubbard where you've got a lot of riprap. It might go back into like a little bay where there's a marina. I'll show you a little picture here. This is a really good spot on Hubbard to really just, basically you can follow the fish in this area. But if you look at it, you've got this big long flat, and then it dives off, and you've got riprap all along I-30 there that you can fish as well. And they love to get up in that area, kind of right where that riprap is and where that flat ends, where that little ridge is there. That's a really good place to go find fish. And you can do that on the flip side of it too. If you look at the other side of I-30, has kind of the same thing, has a flat, has the break, has the riprap. That's the kind of stuff you're looking for. And then again, like I said, you're also looking for those bridges. So when we're talking about, all of this, basically I'm going to simplify it down, like I said, because this is simplistic fishing. So number one, you're going to go out, which I'm going to switch this up on you. Number one, go out, find the riprap. So find the riprap, and once you find the riprap, there's a couple things that you've got to do. One, you're going to want to make sure that you understand what depth it is that you're fishing at. So I really want you guys to work on getting your boat parallel to the riprap. So don't come in at the riprap and fish, 20 yards off and throwing directly at the bank line, like as if I'm throwing right at you. That's not what we want. We want to get parallel, so we want to get sideways with the riprap, really, 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 really close. Not close enough to hurt your boat, obviously, but I'm talking like 5 to 10 feet off the bank line. You're pretty much on the bank line and you're casting straight. Now, if you don't feel that comfortable, maybe it's too windy or something like that and you can't get that close to the bank line, just pull off maybe 15 to 20 feet. But when you make your cast at a 45-degree angle. So what's been working really, really well for me is to get really uptight. I mean, I'm talking like skinny with that riprap, and then just throw square bills. And one of my favorite square bills to throw out there is, it's called a square bull. It's a 3.5. It's by Berkely. It's one of my favorites that's out there. I've got a link in the description if you guys want to go check it out at Omnia. but that's one of my favorites. But really any square bill will work for you. Just make sure that the depth, like the depth of that riprap, is to where that bait is actually making contact with the rocks. If you're just burning it and you're not feeling anything stopping it or moving it or jerking it around, then you're not fishing the right depth. It just means basically either you need to get a little bit deeper diving square bill, or maybe you need to go to like a medium diver that goes just a little bit deeper. I think you'll see in some of these videos I've got a different one on, and unfortunately I can't figure out what brand that was. I thought it was a Berkely, but I can't find it on the website for Omnia, but that one dove just a little bit deeper. So I went from the 3.5, which was probably diving maybe a foot, foot and a half, very, very shallow, to this other one that had just a little bit bigger bill on it. And it was probably going more 3 to 6 feet. So I got just a little bit more depth, but that's what I needed in order to get the bites. So as you're doing this, you're basically just gonna get parallel with the riprap. You're gonna tie on that square bill or the medium diver, whatever it is, whatever depth it takes to make sure you're clanking against stuff and all kinds of craziness. And you're gonna throw it out and you are gonna burn. And I mean burn it. Like you're just gonna, you know, you're going pretty, not stupid fast, but pretty fast. You're burning it. And as you're burning it, there's gonna be times where it's gonna look like, you'll even see it on the videos where it looks like I'm pausing, and I'm not really pausing. I'm just burning. I'm hitting stuff and it's deflecting off there, and it's catching my wrist off guard. So that's one way to do it. Just throw it out there and burn the heck out of it. And I'll tell you one little trick. A lot of people say, how do you do that? Because you know, I get hung up a ton. Well, if you're reeling that through and you start to feel it get hung up and you slow down, you're gonna get hung up. So one, you probably shouldn't even feel it because you weren't throwing it fast enough. But two, if you slow down, you're really gonna be hosed. So if you start to feel it getting hung up, I would say, you know, either burn right through it or lift your rod tip up. Don't keep your rod tip down and just slowly turn it, because then you're gonna get really rocked into it. Maybe just pop it a couple times, see if you can get it up over whatever it is you're getting hung up, and keep burning it. But to be honest, I don't get hung up that much if I'm keeping a pretty fast turn on it. It basically deflects off pretty much everything. Now, if you're not getting bites by just burning it and deflecting off stuff, you can always burn it and then stop it, and burn it and stop it. And I think you guys hopefully have seen Tactical Bass, and if you haven't, you need to go check out their videos because they are awesome. But they do basically burn, 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 pause, burn, 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 pause. That's it, man. That is the sequence. So when it comes to the riprap, I'm telling you, you just go find the riprap, go get you some square bills, tie on 2 or 3 different ones. It's for different depths, maybe a foot and a half, 2 to 4 feet, 3 to 6 feet. You know, you're not getting very deep. And then just parallel that riprap and just see how many fish you can catch. You'll be amazed. You'll be like, I can't believe it was that easy. I've been making it this hard. So go try that. Now, if for some reason those square bills are off, like they're not biting it, maybe it's a just bright sunny sky day and there's absolutely no wind, and they still don't want to bite the crankbait, they want something a little bit slower, all you need to do is take that same exact pattern. You're going to pull off just a hair so you can do more of a 45-degree angle, and you're going to throw on a little shaky head with a mag trick worm, and that's all it's going to take. You're just going to throw the shaky head out there, let it hit the rocks, pop it, let it fall down, hit the rocks, pop it, let it fall down, hit the rocks, and you can get bites that way. Now, you're not going to get as many bites with that shaky head, but you're probably going to get a bigger bite, typically, depending on which size of worm you're using. But I use the mag trick worms. They're pretty big, and typically I'll get a little bit bigger bite there. That's not to say that the square bill's not going to get you a big fish. It will definitely produce some big fish, but it also produces a lot of numbers, so just remember that. So I know I'm all over the place with this. I'm not really a great teacher, but I'm trying here really hard, I promise you that. So number one pattern for October is find your riprap, get parallel with it, get some square bills, and go to town. If for some reason you're not catching fish with that, which I will be absolutely amazed, if you aren't, one, you're probably not doing it right. You're probably not making contact with the rocks. You got to bounce off those rocks. But anyways, going back, if you're not catching with those, back off the bank a little bit, switch over to a shaky head with a Magnum finesse worm or even a brush hog, and you're probably going to catch some fish that way. You're around fish. If you're around the riprap, you are around the fish. They are there. You just got to figure out what it is that they want to bite on. Now, the second pattern I want you to focus on If you want to do something different, or actually when the nights really start to drop here, we're talking like, I'm like a couple days away from the weather just changing on us here in North Texas. But as soon as it happens, when that cold front hits and those water temperatures really start to drop, that's when that main lake thing is going to really start to come on. And really, again, what you're looking for is you're looking for long main lake points with flats on top of them. So if you can find a really flat, long main lake point, your money. Remember those images I showed you from Richland Chambers, those 3 points that are down there. Those are great points to go look at, and really good points to take a visual image of and see what you can match those up to lakes that you're on. But on those points, it's one thing, it's really two different things. One, you can throw that square bill. That's going to work too, depending on your depth. Now your depth might be, 7 or 8 feet. If that's the case, you're probably going to need to go to like a medium diver to make sure that you're making some contact with the bottom, or at least bouncing off some stuff. But the best ones are the flats that are like 3 to 4 feet. I mean, they're shallow, even shallower than that. Then you can throw crankbaits up there. But the number one thing that you're going to want to throw once this starts happening, it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to start happening here really, really soon, is going to be a spook. Get out on those points, get out away from them, and chuck that spook as far as you can and walk it all the way back to the boat, and watch out, because you are going to get hammered, and I mean hammered. Now, there's one secret. It's not a secret anymore because I'm going to tell you right here. So I guess it's a secret for those of you that are on Simplistic Fishing and stayed to the end of this video. But the spook thing is very unique. And what I mean by that is, it's not just any spook. It's not the Spook Junior. It's not the Super Spook. It's not any of that. It is a spook. But the key here is, it's got to be the salty spook. The salt one, for whatever reason, I don't know if it has a different knock on it or what, or maybe it's the tube's a little bit bigger. I have no idea, but there's something about the saltwater spook that makes it absolutely magnificent. My number one bait in the fall to be throwing. So get you a spook, and then get you some square bills, get you some medium diving crankbaits, find your riprap, find your points, find the bass. Guys, I hope that helps a lot. Make sure to go check out our website, simplisticfishing.com. We've got all these waypoints out there for you for all these lakes in Texas. So if you want to know where the rocks are, I can put you on the rocks very, very quickly. Go check it out, simplisticfishing.com. And until next time, I hope you catch your PB. Take it easy, guys.